Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Ruben Uncut. Today, I'm here again with my good friend Gato, and we're going to be doing one of the things that we really enjoy doing, which is making fun of Gene Simmons. And as a bonus, we're also going to get to make fun of Bill Maher. Two men whose egos, what was it you said to me prior? You think their egos will be visible from space?
Yeah. The amount of narcissism in that room.
It's got to be something. Because if there's two people who think very highly of themselves, it's Bill Maher and Gene Simmons.
Like, I'm trying to think. I mean, I know that apparently they bring up a topic that Gene Simmons should not speak on at all, with his
Yeah, no,
his acting resume being what it is.
yeah, we're gonna talk about some of that. Now, a sane person would only react to the clips of this, but we're not sane people here, and it's a podcast, so we have no time limits.
I made it through Gene Simmons' portion of Decline of Western Civilization 2. Surely this can't be as bad.
Here we go.
All right, put your phone away. What are you, a teenager?
No, I'm just showing off.
Oh. Gene, I've been to your house. I've seen the
Sold that one.
vast room.
Now it's at the
It immediately starts with old people making fun of each other about phones.
Yeah, this is gonna be very boomery, I guess.
Boomer as hell.
real hotel. It's Kiss World.
Of course, he has
You
it.
ought to like really quit music and teach a course in business.
How much?
And
I have to say though, this
this
property is
Let's take a quick gander of what they got on this table in front of them. What appears to be, maybe that's for ice. We have some liquor. Gene has what appears to be a mountain spring water next to him. I don't see a bong. I wonder if Bill Maher will smoke. I mean, he's smoking a cigar. Maybe that's to keep him, like, maybe he only smokes pot with the potheads, and so now he's smoking a cigar here to wait. Does Gene Simmons smoke a cigar?
No,
Nope.
Gene Simmons would never do that. He is a good boy.
Gene Simmons, a teetotaler, who's a sex addict.
is out of this world.
Oh,
The
thanks.
fact that you were smart enough, or somebody told you, buy this, do this, and do that, just
Right.
fantastic
Oh,
property.
good. Well, I can't tell you how thrilled I am to have you here at Club Random. I hope you'll come back. Like,
Why? Is it over now?
no, no, I mean, like in the future,
Oh,
you know,
we didn't
just
even start yet.
No, I don't mean as a guest. I mean, like, this has been my party room for 20 years. We're just now also filming some of it. And by the way, it was a great fucking idea, because otherwise somebody like you, who I love and have known forever, but never really sit down with, because we're the type of people we are, you know, when we sit down and talk, when it involves work. Because we're workers, we're workaholics, we're worker bees. People who get someplace usually are workers, even in the crazy business
Well,
of
they-
show.
Did you hear that? People, people who are workers get somewhere. Like it's kind of like it's conservative mind rot, first of all. Second of all, like, he is simultaneously acknowledging that there are types of people, and he's attributing success to types of people, which of annoying. I hate you, Bill Maher.
It's in the DNA, and I don't understand.
It's in the DNA. Narcissists love the concept of eugenics, people. They love the idea that they have something that genetically makes them superior, even though they were probably shaped by their environment.
The workaholic reference, because that's a negative, and I think
Right.
by the sweat of
Right.
my brow and all that,
Yeah.
and we can't give birth, but we can work.
Fucking what?
Like, look, I mean, it is super important that we can make babies, and it is an incredible miracle that women can make babies. But what is going on with men that why is it we always juxtapose what men can do against women being able to give birth? What is that? God, we are going to overdose on boomerism.
Yeah, it's right out of the gate too. We're not even 2 minutes in yet. They have already made me cringe so hard I can feel it.
God, it feels like we've been watching it for much longer than a minute and a half.
Who can't give birth, men? I guess you haven't been reading the papers.
Well, I know where you're going to, but so far, no.
Gene, not that we should really get onto that subject.
Oh God, is this gonna be it? Or are they just gonna like skirt across it here and bring it back?
Can they just talk about Kiss or something? Like anything.
Rock and roll. And what the? I am scared. What are they going to talk about?
But I mean, as long as you threw it down there as a gauntlet, it's a big thing these days that the part of the country that's crazy on the left is apoplectic, that you think that there might be a slight more chance that a woman than a man would give birth. Seriously.
Well, I mean, I'm sure some mad scientist someplace.
Gene, don't talk. Don't talk. But I have to address that. Bill, you are in a bubble. You are in an immense bubble, Bill. It's not, you don't even understand the argument that you're making. When we say men can give birth, currently what we mean is that trans men can give birth. Okay? Does that spell it out for you, Bill? Jesus. Oh, it's a thing that's happened before too. And you don't even understand the argument, Bill. You just are acting like people are crazy. And it irritates me. Do you have anything you want to add to that, Gato?
Nah, I already just.
All right, let's see. Gene Simmons is about to say something crazy, so I could tell because it started with mad scientist.
Can open up a cavity or thing and stick a child in there. But
no, it's not that. It's that people transition so that someone who was born a woman is now quote unquote a man. I mean, if you want to identify that makes
Bill.
2 minutes and 25 seconds.
Bill, you just described the explanation and then you took it, you accepted it, and then you made it transphobic for no reason. For no reason. You took it and you actually said the thing that I explained to you so that you should understand it, but then you took it and you for some reason made it transphobic for no reason. You don't. Why do you care, Bill? Why do you care? Do you know what information we lose? The only information we lose by this subtle changes is just possibly some people's genitals or reproductive ability. And it's, we're going to be yelling at old people, aren't we?
Yeah.
Makes you feel better and it blows your dress up. The new dress you just bought when you became a woman.
In the interest of full disclosure,
you're a woman?
For the fact, because our fans run the gamut from far left, far right.
Wait a minute. Is Gene Simmons about to not have a bigoted take?
Holy shit.
It might be. That might be where this is going. Let's find out.
Solely so people won't blacklist Kiss, probably.
I mean, if there's anyone who you can't trust, who you don't feel like you could truly trust that they're giving you their real opinion, it's Gene Simmons.
Middle, conservatives, liberals, and there are two different sides to the same coin, and there are many different kinds of Americans, and I fully support all of it. So for the record, I fully support anybody who wants to identify themselves as anything you want to identify. Makes you happy, and then you die. That's all there is. But
great, Senator Pussy, you have my votes.
What does that even mean? What are they talking about?
I mean, Gene Simmons basically just said, "Yeah, no, I don't have a problem with trans people. I support them if that's how they want to live their life." And Bill's just calling him out for virtue signaling, because of course that's what Bill has to do. I mean, to be fair, if anyone was just virtue signaling, it might be Gene Simmons. But at the same time, he did come up in rock and roll during the 70s and 60s. So like, he's probably been exposed to a lot of alternative type of people.
Yeah.
So maybe he really genuinely is like cool with trans people. I mean, it doesn't make it less terrible that he played how he played that hermaphrodite in that movie. It doesn't make that any less worse. But I will give subtle props to Gene Simmons for not being a horrible transphobe. Congratulations, Bill Maher. You have made Gene Simmons look good. Why do you care so much about this, Bill? Why?
I mean, okay, we get it. We're not.
But in every single DNA of every single cell in your body, you're either male or female. There are slight exceptions, the hermaphrodites and anything, but one is able to.
I like that he brought up hermaphrodites just because of that movie. But you know, let's see if he brings it back around. Let's see if he can bring it back around. Maybe we're jumping the gun.
To give birth, and the other one is not. And actually, Dave Chappelle made a really interesting point, and
never mind. He's not going to bring it back around. He's gonna start off strong and then just like a clown falling down the stairs trying to carry a drum set. It's gonna be a hilarious disaster. Oh God, Gene.
I think it was in jest, and I think it was meant as a joke, not to infuriate anybody. He said, LeBron James today decides that he's going to identify as a female.
Right.
And everybody applauds. You should have the.
So the first thing that is there is that like the second you start using the word female, we're having a different conversation. And the right does not understand this. It is very hard for them to grasp the difference between woman and female. You ever notice that?
Yeah.
And it sounds like Gene Simmons is trying, but like he also can't grasp it.
The right to do that. So he joins the WNBA and scores 870 points the first game and destroys everybody.
And that's all I'm saying. I think we all agree here in the Senate.
So like I've looked into like trans athletes in sports before. And believe it or not, there is no hard evidence that trans people just outright dominate in their fields. Like it's more a matter of when trans people win, conservatives just draw a ton of attention to it. And when they don't win, they ignore it. Like we even like there was even that incident where that girl sued because there was a trans athlete on the team, because apparently there were 8 spots and this girl got 9th. So she blamed the trans athlete for getting her into 9th. But like the trans athlete didn't even come close to winning. Like trans athletes don't always dominate. That's just a thing made up to imply it's unfair. And also, maybe the reason that women can't beat men at sports is because women don't normally train to play men. I could elaborate on that, but I'm gonna keep going.
That everybody in this country, it's a wonderful world we live in now where you're free to be whoever you are, of course. But there is a level where people who are just looking to bitch and make someone who is not them the bad guy.
Does it sound like Bill's describing himself right now?
Yes.
People who are looking to bitch and make the bad guy someone else who is not themselves. Bill, that's you. That's you, Bill. You are that kind of person.
Take it to this silly level. And to be constantly harping on pregnant men is just silly. It's a Ripley's Believe It or Not. Yes.
Bill, do you not hear yourself? Do you not? You are literally doing all of those things all the time. Bill, you are obsessed with women, with men getting pregnant. You're doing it right now. You're talking about this with Gene Simmons. Like you must be obsessed with it that we are talking to Gene Simmons about it. Because besides the fact that
it's one of the first things he brought up.
We're 4 minutes in, Bill. I'm going to try not to just monologue at you because it's so fucking long.
Yes, does it happen that someone who identifies, again, blah, blah, blah. Okay, great. But, you know, we're getting to this place in this country, not that we really should be getting off on this serious subject either, but you know what? It's important.
The first 4.5 minutes, Bill. The first 4.5, it's not even 4.5, 4 minutes and 28 seconds is where we're at.
Where this is infecting medical schools. So it's affecting how people actually treat people. And then we're into the lives area, and that does matter. And they've already had situations where somebody was brought into the emergency room, and because they identified as a man, they didn't look that it might have been a pregnancy that was causing the problem, and it was. So, you know, it can go too far. Thank you. Now,
Notice I'm not.
Oh, I hope that thank you indicates that this part is over. Jesus Christ. You know, when I saw the clip, when I noticed there was a clip titled this right below this video, there was a part of me that wondered how long we would have to wait before that became the topic. But we didn't. We didn't have to wait at all. There was not a minute of fucking waiting. Jesus, Bill, you're obsessed. You are trans obsessed. Poor Gene Simmons. I can't believe you're making me feel bad for Gene Simmons.
You know he's probably only coming on. Well, first of all, they're probably best friends, but you know Gene's probably mostly on here just to maybe plug the Kiss farewell tour they've been doing.
Maybe. Or, you know, or Gene Simmons is just like any opportunity to make something about himself. Oh my God.
That hat that Gene's wearing.
Yeah.
He sells those on his website, so you too can have a bag with the $sign on it. Hat. He owns the copyright to that, by the way. So because he thinks it's a common thing that people still put on things, so he copyrighted.
Trademark the money bag. Great job, Gene. You lunatic.
My running mate, Mr. Simmons, and I.
Running mate. Oh, that's right. You're the
yes,
top. You're the top of the bill. Yeah,
now we're politicians.
I'm just the VP here.
Well, I'm sure you would always be the president. But
could you imagine this? Our country being run by Bill Maher and Gene Simmons. It'd be terrible, but at least we could smoke pot and have the right to rock.
Dude, Kiss has a song called I Love It Loud, and one of the lines is, I want to be the president.
Oh my God.
So.
Of a song called I Like It Loud.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, that almost makes me feel like maybe he's partially responsible for Trump in some way. But I hear Trump doesn't actually listen to music, so maybe not.
Yeah, Trump doesn't really seem like a Kiss guy.
Yeah, probably not.
Because I mean, did you hear when he?
I feel like he'd pretend like he liked Kiss though, if someone else did.
I think Gene Simmons was on one of his shows, but like, he definitely probably thinks Gene is a cool guy because money.
Well, money and pussy.
Yeah.
He like Donald Trump loves the finer things in life, money and pussy. I hear Trump likes Adderall though.
Gene, are you not a little verklempt by two of the things in this room? Over there is that sign that says Playmates at Play. You saw that, right, when you came in? Okay, that's the original one from the Playboy
That's
Mansion.
where I met Shannon.
Wait, that is a blunt. Isn't it?
I don't know.
I
don't think he's even lit it yet.
It doesn't look lit now. I'm just noticing that. But it's got the... I mean, I guess you could smoke a cigar with the glass mouthpiece.
I believe he also poured himself a glass of some clear alcohol.
Clear alcohol.
Yeah.
Classy, Bill.
And probably where I met you.
Okay.
I'm not saying...
I mean, it's got to be alcohol, because otherwise, why would Gene have a mineral water?
Yeah.
Like,
well, he had a decanter at one point and was like pouring it.
A decanter.
It was
I didn't know you didn't... I thought those were just for wine. Could you use them on liquor too?
Yeah.
Huh.
Some people put their scotch in one.
Oh, Bill, you rich son of a bitch.
My relationship
but you and I didn't in the same way that Shannon and I.
No, I'm not claiming that.
I mean, it is Hollywood.
I'm not as important as Shannon in your life. I was at your wedding, but you weren't marrying me. I concede that point. But that sign was the one that was on the driveway as you drove up to the Playboy Mansion forever. It was iconic.
I recognize it.
So when he croaked, they had a, auction.
Croaked. Nice. Nice, Bill Maher. When he croaked. When he passed away, a little.
Oh, Senator.
Oh, come on.
Gives it.
You're
okay.
talking.
That's it, Gene. You point out to the fact that you tell Bill Maher he's a rude son of a bitch, because he is. It takes an egoist to shut down another egoist. Let's do it.
Talking about Hugh Hefner, who
I know that.
even though he had a lot of fun, really changed what the Germans called zeitgeist.
Yeah, no kidding. And saying he croaked doesn't alter my opinion that agrees with that. Well, he died. So what?
He passed.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
These are semantics, but I'm not anti-semantic, okay? See what I did there, kids?
Okay. All right.
That was a joke.
No.
Jesus Christ, Gene. I mean, okay, Gene, that was kind of funny. That's kind of funny.
Grandpa joke.
I mean, he's being funnier than Bill Maher,
Yeah.
to be fair.
I didn't think that. I thought Gene would be annoying first, but now Bill just jumped on that immediately. And Gene's the cool one. We still got an hour left, though.
Oh my God.
Gene, people are going to think you're an old Jewish gentleman.
I am an old Jewish gentleman.
Oh, that's right.
How old are you?
Me?
No, the other guy. Yes. Yes, Joe Biden. You.
I'm 60.
Bill Maher does look like Joe Biden.
He does a little bit.
Like Bill Maher, I mean, like maybe Bill Maher from Saturday Night Live should get to play Biden. Just a wild idea there. I mean, I hate him, and I don't want him to continue to fail upwards. But like it would work, and he'd probably jump at the chance to make fun of him.
66.
Well, I'm 73, bitch. So
Well,
I am an old Jew.
and you're and a good Jew, and you're still out there.
Oh,
you're
yeah.
not only who you are. I mean, you're a rock star at 73. That's impressive. That's a baller move, and you kind of look the same, because what?
Hair.
You got hair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just have to worship Satan, that's all.
Well, that's it. You always looked like you were.
He's not that good of a Jew. He worships Satan, okay? Which is a little bit Christian of him. I bet he dyes his hair, though.
Yeah.
There's no way he doesn't dye his hair. It's too black. It's way too black.
Worship Satan, and you still do.
Thank you, I think.
So like you no, I'm serious. Like some people, you look at a picture of them in the heyday, and then they look a picture of them now, and it's like, oh, it's night and day.
Well,
you kind of have the same exact look.
Bill Maher, it's called no drugs, no booze, no cigarettes. See what you're doing there, that smoking thing? So I can hold my hand in front of my face, and it won't shake because of what you put. I'm not a health nut. But the more crap you put, that stuff too, I mean, if it's a taste here and there, I'm going to shake my finger in front of your face. It's not good for you.
I just love the idea that Gene Simmons is here to to shame Bill Maher. like it's funny because they're both just old. Like, wait. Gene Simmons a boomer, or is he?
Yeah.
Or is he silent generation?
No, he's boomer. Because boomers started in 45, and he was born like 48, I think.
Oh, okay. And then is Bill Maher a boomer or Gen X?
Let's see.
He's in his 60s.
Let's see.
Because he even if he's a Gen Xer, he is boomered the fuck out.
56, that's boomer.
Okay, so he is a boomer. I think he's my mom's age, or close to my mom's age. All right, let's get back to these boomers here.
When did you become Aunt Blabby? Okay.
Well, I've always been the same guy.
Really?
Yeah,
I don't remember you nagging me this much.
You know what's not gentlemanly, Gene? Making sex tapes with people who aren't your wife, and having the audacity to make them sad sex tapes that you don't destroy.
Okay, I'll quit. But I do recall having lunch with you someplace.
Oh, yes.
I think it was for our TV show.
And again, my point, Yeah. What will we?
Wait, did he say our TV show?
I think he means Gene Simmons' Family Jewels, the reality show that he used to have with his family.
Okay. Still, it made it sound like him and Gene had a show at some
Doing. We were working.
I mean, him and Bill.
Which is a shame because I always loved you. I
Well,
mean, and like I would love to talk to you, but yeah, it's just the nature of who we are.
yeah, I don't chit chat much, and I really don't have many friends, or
Right.
maybe none at all.
No, that's so.
That's believable. Would you agree?
Yeah, I mean, everybody that in Kiss that is in Kiss right now has gone on record saying like, "He's an asshole" at least once. But I think he and Paul Stanley probably tolerate each other at this point, just because they feel as though Kiss is like their legacy, so they have to put up with each other.
Nice.
Ridiculous.
I don't mean that in the headline grabbing stuff that it's meant to be, because I was almost crucified that I did some kind of interview someplace, and the Daily Mail and all these people picked it up. He has no friends, and he doesn't. It's not that. It's usually when people talk about friends, it seems to me, hey, what are you doing? You want to come by and share a brewski and watch the game? I don't watch games, and I don't drink. I don't go to bars.
No,
I don't go to ball games.
I know,
but if I do, I'll go as the guest of the
right
team or something.
No, I think you're.
I don't have friends because I don't get high or drunk.
And I have trouble relating to pretty much anyone I meet.
Similar to me in the. Oh. I guess that's an ash that just fell. Okay, yeah, this is kind of a big stogie. Anyway, this don't hurt you. This is just a clove cigarette, Gene.
Anything you say.
But I think,
Bill, I don't think you understand why smoking things hurt you. All things you smoke hurt you, even weed, because it's burning. It's just not as toxic of a plant as tobacco.
I think we're the same in that, like, we like the two, like, premium stimulators in life, which is sex and intellectual stimulation.
I was just about to say, it's this and the schmeckel. That's all there is. That's all there is.
It's I like they use the word schmeckel.
Oh yeah, you gotta love that. Gene Simmons is easily the best part of this.
Yeah, he's great now.
I thought we'd be making fun of him way harder by this point.
There's still 50 minutes or so left.
But now what we've learned is that Bill Maher is just lame as fuck.
Yeah,
he is just a lame old person, and it's super kind of sad.
What did he used to do? Stand up or something?
Oh yeah, no, he was a stand-up comedian.
I have never heard any of his comedy ever. I just knew him as the guy on that show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Where he said the N-word at one point. It was like, how come no one likes me anymore?
Oh, Bill Maher. I what's funny about Bill Maher is I read this story, and I want to say that it was Jon Stewart talking about how he once opened for Bill. He once was at a show where he went on before Bill Maher, and basically he came backstage and he said to Bill Maher that it was a rough audience, and Bill Maher said to him, "Never blame the audience." And then Bill Maher went out and did his show. But like, when I think of that Bill Maher and compare him to the Bill Maher of today, it's like, what changed, man? You used to say it wasn't the audience. What the hell happened? What brought you to this point? Was it when your show got canceled because you made jokes about 9/11? Because that was a show. He used to have a show called Politically Incorrect. I think it was on, what was on, Fox, ABC? I don't know. But it got canceled because he made some jokes about 9/11. Like, you know, when 9/11 happened.
Oh.
I mean, I guess technically that was his job, but he probably shouldn't have done what he did.
Because, and by the way, if you're not turned on here,
right,
Mr. Oh, that's what I was going to say. how fucking conceited is that they're like basically being like, oh, intellectual stimulation. This is good. The only two are sex and intellectual stimulation. And it's like, Bill, how much of an intellectual do you really think you are? You're just a contrarian with a TV show. That's not as deep as you think. Jesus.
Happy is going to work because we're animals, but it ain't the same thing as.
No, remember Dr. Ruth?
I knew Dr. Ruth. She was about this. Yeah.
Oh, he knew Dr. Ruth. We saw that video. I'm gonna have to link that video right here. That'll be when I put this on YouTube. It's gonna go on the podcast first, but I'll put the link to that video in there. Well, it won't be in the same way, but if it's on YouTube, it'll be like right here somewhere. But yeah.
Yes,
quite well.
Ruth, what was her name? Dr. Ruth.
Dr. Ruth Westheimer.
Westheimer. For the kids, she was all over TV, like in the 80s, 90s, maybe a little past
She'd be
that.
putting condoms on cucumbers.
Yes.
You take this and you shove it up the ass, and just like that.
She was a doctor. You know, she was like, in another art was Dr. Joyce Brothers. She was kind of a successor to her. The TV liked these women doctors who could like talk about delicate subjects. Because they were women and doctors, it was okay. So Dr.
And old. I think it was a big part of their success is that they were like middle-aged or older when they started. I think that the response from people would have been different if they were younger. It would have been a very different vibe.
Ruth Westheimer was like a 4-foot-tall German woman with a thick accent.
Jewish German who wound up being a sniper in the Israeli army.
Sniper, she should have been a tunneler. She could get through the.
No, she was a very. She was a real killer. I get it. I get the visual.
Because of her diminutive nature.
She was, but she's probably got a.
Bill, you are being outclassed and outjoked by Gene Simmons. Do you understand, Bill? This is embarrassing for you. At every turn, Gene Simmons, just a little bit classier and funny.
A good count on those.
But she would like always say, I remember, the brain is the most important sexual organ. You know?
That's an interesting question. If you had a choice, you got to lose one. Either your schmeckle or the ability to think and come up with stuff.
Well, again, as you say, it's almost a pointless question because one is useless without the other. I mean, first of all, you couldn't get a hard-on without a brain.
What is it that the brain can't do without the penis, Bill? Are you going to explain that one? Because that one sounds dumb. It's a blunt. We know.
Yeah, but not necessarily.
There's a Kiss song.
If you took off your staff of righteousness, then your brain would still be capable of doing the amazing things that somebody, even in a wheelchair, who's paralyzed, can come up with string theory and so on. But if your brain stops, you're just.
Well, I was at Larry Flint's bachelor party.
Bill, Gene Simmons just pointed out how stupid the thing you said was, which you never explained. You never explained why the brain was no good without the penis. How are we supposed to interpret that, Bill? And Gene Simmons called you on it.
Party. Now, can you imagine the concept of Hustler magazine?
I knew Larry. Yes, I understand.
And I remember,
especially his wife.
He was. I loved Liz, wonderful wife. Yes, but Larry was in a wheelchair, as you know.
Somebody,
yes,
shot him coming out of court.
Absolutely, but it did not stop him from. I don't want to get too graphic, but it did not stop him from engaging in things that you would think really would only return rewards if you had a penis. What I'm saying is the male desire for certain things does seem to, interestingly, transcend.
Are you saying his penis didn't work and yet he had sex? What are you saying? Not everyone who's paralyzed below the waist loses the use of their penis. Just so you know. Some do, but not everyone.
And actually having a working penis.
Then what other? I mean, the urge to merge involves what other?
Well, I know I'm trying to be delicate because,
You mean he got off on it mentally and visually?
I mean, he behaves like he still had a dick, even though he didn't.
How do you do that, Bill? Bill?
I'm just saying he was like at the bachelor party. Okay, I guess I could say this because he wasn't married yet. It was the bachelor party. Although I'm not sure any wife would want to know this. But I do remember this. There was a table. It was like a Lazy Susan table, and there were, I think, 8 women, and they were there with, like, ready to be orally serviced around the table.
So he serviced them, but he didn't get the pleasure. He was pleasuring them.
I'm just saying, if I couldn't feel my dick, I think I'd take up another hobby like bowling or something.
You heard it here first, folks. It's either Schmeichel or bowling.
And this must give you verklempt. Look at that, cannibal women. And
Did he know whether or not Larry Flint's dick worked or not? Is that something Larry Flint told him?
I'm looking at his Wikipedia now, and it just says that he got shot in the spine. So,
is there? Hold on.
And he also, he had a stroke too.
Ooh, okay. I mean, it's possible his dick didn't work. I don't know. I'm just saying, no one should assume because a person is in a wheelchair that their penis doesn't work. Okay, that's all I'm saying. If a person's in a wheelchair, doesn't mean their penis doesn't work. That's all I'm saying. I don't know Larry Flint's specific story in terms of his penis.
In the avocado jungle of death.
That's my wife in the middle there.
I know. I think that's...
No, not the one with the red hat. The one in the poster.
No, I know. I know. I mean, I think that's how I know you, is because this was 1988.
Yeah.
This was the classic Cannibal Women in the Avocado Jungle.
Okay, hold on. Bill Maher has some very interesting posters on his wall. One of them is for apparently a movie called Cannibal Woman. Oh, wait, I think he's in that. I think Bill Maher is in that movie. Oh, and he apparently must be in this other movie, one credit short. And also he has...
That's the Trump.
Yeah, he has a Trump cutout that appears to have been altered in some way to make it look like it is flipping a very short, stumpy bird.
Jungle of Death, which
is a real movie, and you can get it.
Oh, yes. It won 11 Oscars.
Adrienne Barbeau.
Adrienne Barbeau was in it. She's the head of the Cannibal Women.
Yep.
I was Jim the guide, and your wife, not the wife at the time, but Shannon, your girlfriend at the time, was an ethnographer who was looking into the problem of these cannibal women.
Tell me that's not a woke term, ethnographer.
Yes. Yes, we were very ahead of our time in 19...
Don't ruin it. You were doing so good.
Gene, you were doing well. I mean, you sort of fucked up the trans thing at the end, but otherwise you were doing well. Now you're playing Bill's game, using black words you don't know the meaning of in ways that they don't mean them.
1988, although it really was a commentary. It's actually kind of a funny movie, a commentary on feminism, or I can't remember what. I just know I had a ball.
I'm so tired of all these isms, and just...
What do you mean?
I want everybody... Well, the terminology.
Like communism?
How about, live and let live? Whatever you want to call yourself, whatever ism you're part of, republicanism, it's like a liberalism, conservative. It's like live and let live.
Right.
And just move on with it. You don't have to put a title on it. Everybody needs to, it seems, to define themselves. What tribe are you from? And we're all, good, bad, or otherwise, stuck in this great...
I feel like Gene Simmons has been curating himself for a long time to specifically be not political. Is that the vibe we're getting? Would you agree with that assessment?
Yeah, because if you want people to buy your insane amount of merch, you can't make them think you're ready.
Yeah, no, exactly.
I'm amazed they haven't talked about music at all yet.
Experiment, really.
You are right. They haven't. Also, just fun fact, audience, the word ism actually means religion.
Called America, and I don't want to get too philosophical about it, but there's never been a country like this, and it's worth, I was
True. True, actually.
invited to speak at the Pentagon. I know it sounds like what?
What, Pentagon? You invited Gene Simmons to speak at the Pentagon. Pentagon, stop wasting taxpayer money. I don't know what the hell you had to talk to Gene Simmons about at the Pentagon. Maybe he'll tell us. But what? That's what taxpayer money goes to? Are you kidding me?
Not too long ago, about 2, 3 years ago, and I went to the Pentagon at the behest of the Pentagon and got up there, and I ran into.
I didn't just show up. They asked me to be there.
To Barbara Starr, CNN, in the hallway, going, "What are you doing here?" I'm going, "Well, I'm going to speak at the podium. I'm going to address the media and everything else." She goes, "Why?" I go, "What are you doing here?" She goes, "Well, I'm going to report." I said, "Okay, so report." But we connected immediately, and I told her that the reason I'm there is to pay homage to the servicemen and women who don't hear enough of that. It's always about policy and what. Meantime, people of all political persuasions are out there risking their lives every year, year after year, for an ideal. They may not agree with each other, but they'll risk their life and often.
He's doing a good job of upselling what is a waste of taxpayer money. Having Gene Simmons speak to the Pentagon. I feel like the people who have the really dangerous jobs, Gene, don't normally work in the Pentagon.
Often give their life for this thing called America. And it's worth reminding everybody, it's like, get off your high horse. The person who disagrees with you, yes, even the ones who stormed, let the Justice Department take care of them, right or wrong, but they're Americans too. And the people who don't like the way you think and you don't like the way they think, who doesn't care? Anybody who hates America, they don't care about anybody. You think?
Oh, Gene, that's basically apologia for people who tried to betray America. So, although I heard someone say it was pronounced apologia the other day, but apologia sounds logical. I don't know. But Gene, what are you doing? Why is this what you and Bill Maher are talking about?
You think Mr. Putin cares about left or right? He doesn't.
I mean, kind of. He has been chummy with right-wing organizations, and he's really big into hating the gays. So, kind of think he is kind of right wing. Just to clarify that sentence, I meant he is to the right. In fairness, though, Putin probably doesn't care because Putin probably doesn't give a shit about anyone who isn't Putin.
That you think Khomeini is a fan more of the left or the right? He doesn't like anybody here. So it's worth noting, when and if aliens finally come to take over the planet, they won't have a clue what the differences are between the extreme left and the extreme right. They won't have a clue. You're just all...
Okay. What are you basing that argument on, Gene? Do you think aliens won't have politics? Do you think aliens will come from some type of monoculture where they all just agree on everything? Are you saying that aliens won't be smart enough to understand the intricacies of our political system that drives us apart? Alien metaphors are not actually great for anything. We don't know shit about aliens.
Earth people.
I would also say that not just aliens, but
also that kind of sounds racist. Oh, aliens will just come here and they'll be like, oh, these Earth people.
but in 100 years, when historians look back on this period, if we're still around. They also will not make a differentiation as we do between left and right.
That's right.
They will see common ways that both sides are really, really stupid.
What? Bill, have you ever read a fucking history book? We have always documented political differences through history. What the fuck are you talking about, Bill? We know what the difference was between the two sides of the Civil War, and we know what the difference was between the sides of the Vietnam War and World War II and World War I. What the fuck are you talking about?
And did stupid things like anti-science. You're anti-science. Well, you're wearing a mask outside. So who's the bigger moron? I'm just saying this.
Oh my God, Bill, it's 2020. Wait, 8 months ago. When was 8 months ago? You made this at the end of 2022. Roughly. Maybe the beginning of 2023. The point, still making mask jokes, Gato. He's still making mask jokes.
Of course he is. He's a boomer.
There's lots of ways to be anti-science. I see it on the left and I see it on the right, of course, even more. They don't believe in global warming, things like that.
Okay, yeah, Bill. Admit that's the most left-wing thing you've said, and the meter barely moved for it.
I have a semi-associate, somebody who firmly believes the Earth is flat, and members in our band.
How do we feel about the fact that Gene Simmons has an associate who's a flat earther?
If he said he has no friends, so the only people he's consistently around at this period of time are the other guys in KISS. So that means probably one of the guys in KISS that isn't him is a flat earther.
Ooh, I wonder who it could be.
Oh, man.
And there's one member, and I love him to death, who believes in hoaxes, semi-QAnon and stuff like that. But so what?
There's one of the guys in KISS is QAnon.
Apparently. That's kind of what it sounded like you said, Gene.
And it has to be one of the guys who's in the band with him now, because if it was like Ace Frehley or Peter Criss, he'd have just said that because he hates them.
Yeah. And you could tell by the way he said it that he doesn't believe in QAnon.
Paul Stanley doesn't really have that vibe. It's got to be one of the guys they have in Ace and Peter's makeup that never say anything.
He's very, very comfortable. Still,
and the fact that he's not saying at all. It's funny. He fears reprisal in some way.
We are brought to you by Signal Wire. Signal Wire power-related communications. /random. Oh, you're torturing me. I know you know because you're Mr. Sober.
Mr. Celibate?
Mr. Sober.
Sober, yes.
You're certainly not Mr. Celibate.
Is sober a reference only to alcohol, or is it also to drugs?
Absolutely. Free t-shirt. Go to signalwire.com/random. Not to be cruel to show people, but I mean, you're not the typical show person because you're a highly intelligent guy who sort of...
Don't forget good looking.
And what's the one you used to say?
Powerful and attractive man.
You don't say it anymore.
I do it all the time.
Oh, good.
How many times may I have said it?
You haven't said it to me tonight, and you always used to say it.
It's Bill, it's a private moment.
Have I...
Egoists love when other egoists are being egoists. This is a thing that I've noticed. They love it. That's why so many people love Trump. It's why people like Garfield. People like Garfield because Garfield's a cat who's a piece of shit. And he doesn't care. He's proud that he's a piece of shit. And deep down inside, a lot of people want to be proud that they're pieces of shit.
Have I lost my attractiveness to you?
That's jail talk where I come from. Let's.
I hope not.
Oh, Gene, what the fuck? Gene Simmons dropping the prison rape joke.
But don't forget your train of thought.
What was it? Yes, important.
Because is prison the only time it would be acceptable for you to be gay, Gene? What is that? What are you saying?
think it's that stuff. It took it away.
I know. So what? So you tell me. That's why you're here. No, tell me. What is it? I was on to something very important. You're right.
You
What
got to
were we
roll back
talking
the
about?
tape.
Oh, you're torturing me. I know you know because you're Mr. Sober.
Mr. Celibate?
Mr. Sober.
Sober,
You're
yes.
certainly not Mr. Celibate.
Is
fucked up are you right
sober
now, man?
a reference only to alcohol, or is it also
No.
to drugs?
Absolutely.
It
Well,
is.
alcohol is a drug.
Alcohol is a drug.
So is food.
Oh, what a Bill. So far, Bill, that's your only W in this entire conversation. It's the one time you definitely knew something that not everyone knows. Good job.
Food, or it can be. You can kill yourself faster with food than lots of drugs.
I never thought of it that way.
Really? You never thought of that? That food kills more than any drug.
You mean because of fat?
Of course.
Yeah. And I guess
It's not just fat. There's a lot of other health problems you can get from food. Just so everyone knows.
you could
And
drown.
horrible food that has poison in it.
And I suppose you could drown if you drink too much of that.
I'm not drinking at all.
What did you just do?
But that's not liquor. It's soda.
I said water. You can drown if you drink too much of that. It's water.
I'm sorry, Gene. I don't listen to the guests.
Oh. Wait, Bill, if you're drinking water and smoking a stogie, and you just said you weren't sober, I don't believe that's a stogie anymore. Bill, you just implied that he was the one who wasn't fucked up right now. What are you fucked up on? You've denied both alcohol and weed.
There's PCP in this.
I gotta tell you, they pay me the same whether it's my line, my line.
Yeah, you make a
Bullshit,
fortune with the podcast. Oh yeah.
Bullshit. Yeah.
If there was any money in this game, I'd be in it deep.
Don't you read the papers? There's tons of money in this.
It depends.
Well, yes, of course, like anything.
It depends.
Yes.
If you're rolling.
It helps if you had a TV show or a giant rock band before you start your podcast to make money.
And you've got
not just him, but there's that's not why I'm doing it, but it would be erroneous to lead people to think that there isn't huge money. Now, why that is, I have no clue, because if you said to me 10 years ago, hey, AM radio, it's going to be the hottest thing in 10 years, I'd be like, you're nuts. What could be lamer than, and yet people, I remember when TV, I don't remember, but I remember reading about when TV started and they said talk show. What about a talk show? And everybody was like, who would just want to watch people talk? They thought it would have no appeal. And it turned out just watching people talk is the biggest thing in the world.
Yeah.
And has been the cash cow of TV forever. And podcasting is just more people like to listen to other people fucking yammer.
Depends who the people are.
I know.
But yes.
Why they'd want to listen to any.
Gene showing rare self-awareness. That it matters who the people are. There's not a lot of people just sitting there saying, I'm going to listen to Ruben and Gato talk about stuff. Because we're not famous. And technically, Gato is anonymous.
Yeah.
So it's he's even less famous. We protect his identity so that he can have a double life of being honest on a podcast, but also working a normal day job.
For squares.
Yep, surrounded by squares. Fucking squares.
Any other one than this? I have no idea, because this is the one to listen to, because it's actually like actual people talking in a very real way. But people listen to it for information reasons. I do that sometimes. I listen to something.
Bill, people who need people are the luckiest people in the world.
Now, I bet you could have dated Barbra Streisand, because you went out with Cher, right? And you went out with somebody else who was very...
Diana Ross.
Oh, Diana Ross. Oh, wow.
I managed Liza.
Yeah, I know. Oh, yes, managed Liza. Wow. But Diana Ross, yes.
Oh,
When I was 13, boy, I thought...
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised by anyone Gene Simmons might have banged prior. I just wouldn't be surprised. How many broke up with him and how many did he break up with? That's what I want to know.
They all broke up with him. is how he tells it in his incredibly self-serving autobiography.
They all broke up with me because I was banging other people.
I understand. I understand.
But you, Mr. Rockstar, you get to live the fantasies that other men fantasize about, right? Isn't that
the fantasies of having really sad sex on videotape and then nearly losing your wife?
the deal?
Listen, buddy.
That why you sold your soul to the devil?
Yes, listen, buddy. You're a victim. Oh, poor me. I'll sit here in the corner with my crust of bread.
No.
I've seen the chicks around you.
Okay.
You do just fine.
Okay.
I was gonna say, wait a minute. Haven't you literally dated porn stars, Bill? You have literally dated porn stars, and you're in here acting like you would.
Like, man, it must have been cool. And I like how the way they're wording it makes it sound like Gene is still this like fucking face painted rock god. It's like, nah.
No, he's just an old Jewish guy right now.
It's like they've literally been every Kiss tour for the last 20 years has just been them croaking their way through the hits.
Yeah, when was the last time they wrote a new song?
I mean, they put out an album like 5 or 6 years ago. I don't know. It probably was terrible.
Oh, it's a lot sooner, a lot more recent than I would have guessed.
Mom. Okay.
When we went to when we had that shindig at the Key Club, I don't remember what it was. Whether it was
we did. Who's
I
we?
had a party at the Key Club. Oh, I know what it was. It was my solo record. It was a party for Asshole.
Oh,
and I think that's the name of the record because I've been called that once or twice. I've heard that.
Are you familiar with this record?
Yeah.
Tell us about the record.
It came out. I think that album is the reason why he got a reality show, because he wanted to use the reality show to promote the album and the album to promote the reality show. There's like, it's bad. It's really bad. It's just like, picture Gene Simmons and a bunch of just boring ass rock guitarists. I think Dave Navarro plays guitar on there with them or something. So it's just a bunch of douchey dudes who are like, yeah, rock. But it's just Gene Simmons singing songs bragging about how good he is. So it's like,
awesome, Gene. Awesome.
Heard that before.
You know, I remember you and Shannon having some rows. I mean,
well,
it's amazing that you two, I mean, the bond between you two, I know it's very strong. I remember.
Well, look.
So it lasted through lots of, you, right? Come on.
It was never vitriol, and it was never sort of that physical stuff, but there's no question that in the 29 years that Shannon and I were together before we got married, because I was, just for the record, arrogant, self-absorbed, just an asshole who was only thinking about myself. Why did you do this? Because I wanted to do it. Who you ask, where are you going?
Well, it sounds like Gene has grown up a tiny bit, you know?
Yeah, well, I mean, he's 73 years old, and he doesn't have, I want to fuck you as an ulterior motive for everything he does, because he's in his early 70s.
I mean, last time I checked, he was still a douchebag on Twitter.
Yeah, well, I mean, of course. It's like Paul Stanley's a dick on Twitter too.
Fair. But it sounds like he has matured.
Yeah, he's not like, oh yeah, I'm the coolest boy in the coolest band that will ever exist. You know, it's like, nah, I'm in Kiss. He probably still thinks Kiss is the greatest band ever, but he's not like being very intense anymore. Now he's just a fucking grandpa. Look at him.
Like, where am I going? Who wants to know? That sort of thing.
Just an old
I was even arrogant enough to give Shannon a piece of paper that said, full disclosure, I never want to get married. I never want to have kids. We can live together, but I don't want to be told what to do. Like, full upfront. And
yeah, but you know, I mean,
I know.
No. I mean, I think that's admirable.
All right, man. Just so you know, not a good move. That's not a move you should be making in a relationship. Anytime you have to write things down like that to try and give some type of ultimatum to your woman, it's probably not a good move.
that you're honest like that. I also believe in honesty in relationships, but I also am not going to pretend that no matter what you say on the intellectual level, like put it on a piece of paper, you can read it. It's different when the shit is actually happening. I mean, Gene, you're a
No
dog.
question.
You're a dog. I say that with the greatest respect.
No question. I heard Shannon like I've never just without. I can't even use the right words. The amount of pain I caused her and the kids too.
And I remember when you were also mad at her, probably because she did something retaliatory. I remember you being mad.
With what?
With her, because she probably did something retaliatory. I remember things you.
I don't recall, and it wouldn't matter to me because at a certain point, it was this. Even assholes and arrogant ones, every once in a while, just sort of take a stock of their lives and understand that there is nobody like Shannon is my Jesus. She's the only one. She's
Gene Simmons.
Kind of a weird way to word that there, Gene.
It is, especially all things considered. And but once again, Gene Simmons outclasses Bill Maher. Bill Maher tries to be like, yeah, but the woman, and he's like, no, I don't remember that. My wife Bill basically saved my life. I don't care what you're saying.
Yeah, Bill, oh man, Bill probably desperately want to be like, God, that fucking ball and chain, like have it be a wife bad boomer humor conversation, but she's like, no.
Good for you, Gene. Good for you.
I'm very surprised with Gene, actually.
Yeah, no, he's showing a lot of maturity.
I thought this would be the most insufferable boomer narcissism tornado ever, but it's Gene's like being reasonable here.
You know, if you almost destroy your marriage with a terrible, sad, pathetic sex tape, maybe you do learn something from that.
Yeah, I mean, something has to give Gene Simmons some humility at some point, and that, if anything's gonna do it, it's gonna be an unflattering sex tape that proves he's not very good at sex, and the woman didn't even look at him.
Like, physically looks away from him the whole time. And I think even discourages him from looking at her. It's a very sad sex tape, people.
He's the only one who's ever really understood me and stuck by me for 29 asshole years,
right,
and never tortured me enough to dump me.
You're a little like the Clintons. You know, when people said, because people just like to run their mouth and they don't know anything, and I don't know anything about what goes on inside of a relationship, but I feel like people want to always make things more exotic than they are. So with Bill and Hillary Clinton, it was always, you know, it's an arrangement. And my view was, it's not an arrangement. He's a dog.
Yep.
That's it. But he really loves her and she really loves him. That's a little more complicated, but it's the truth. You know, I mean, she said at the time something like, I could have left him, but at the end of the day, I've never met a more interesting person and I don't think I ever will. You know, I mean,
that lets me off the hook too easily, and I appreciate that thing. But in hindsight, though, I thought.
Do you think Bill Maher ever thinks about anything that isn't related to politics? Oh wait, besides fucking.
Yeah, just probably that's literally it. That.
Like I feel like Bill Maher maybe that's why Bill Maher smokes weed, is because at a certain point, like Bill Maher needs to do something to think about anything that isn't politics, because it sounds like it's the only thing he's capable of talking to someone about, because it keeps coming up with Gene fucking Simmons for no reason.
Yeah,
like even in that example, it's like Bill and Hillary, politicians.
And I'm amazed he hasn't used the word snowflake for anything yet.
Oh, the night is unfortunately young.
I thought I was taking the high road by being upfront at the very beginning of the relationship, and yet I found myself buying a house, moving in together with Shannon, doing a will, making sure she'd be taken care of, making sure the kids, like acting as if we were married, but never wanting to be married, because the moment came when I had to understand I was afraid of getting married because I didn't want to become my father. My father left us. See, I even said us instead of me, My father left us when I was about 7 years of age, just like so many fathers do.
You were living
Shamefully.
in
Israel.
Israel.
And I was the only child to my mother, and my mother did everything to the day she passed at 94. Never stopped looking at me, calling, flying, or just, beyond, the angel of all angels. And I thought, like, what's the difference between my father and myself? And I couldn't figure it out. So I wanted to make sure I would never hurt anybody else the way my father hurt my mother. I would see her in the middle of the night crying her heart out and, trying to blame herself. What did I do wrong? And so on. And I heard Shannon say the same things to me when I'd break her heart over and over again.
Life is just always going to include both being hurt by other people and hurting other people. I mean, it's like we're in one of those bumper car things in the, amusement park, and you're in a bumper car. You're going to get bumped by other bumper cars.
But
and sometimes you bump them, and sometimes they
It's
bump
not-
you. But as long as you're going around the track,
it's not the same because
no, it's not the same. Of course, it's an analogy.
No, I don't mean that. I mean the amount of pain.
Do you hear how they are in completely different places during this conversation? Like Bill is over here making these jokes and is like, bumper cars, it's life. And Gene is just like 100% serious. No, man, I fucked up. I did a bad thing. I was hurting people I cared about, and it took me a lot of time to come to terms with what I had to be and do. It's like they are not having the same conversation.
When your lady, when your girlfriend, your wife, and it gets hurt, it goes
I know.
way deeper than it does.
Do you, Bill? Do you? Because it sounds like you're trying to. It sounds like Bill wants to get back to something fun, like right now.
To you, because either we're designed or the DNA or whatever. And I've been hurt in the past, but I remember when I was about 7.5, my mother had to go work. She was working 6 days a week from 7 in the morning until late at night, 7, 8 o'clock. And in the middle of the night, I woke up and my mother still wasn't home, and I was scared. There was nobody around, and you hear dogs barking, scared to death, and went out on the balcony and started crying, where's my mother? Where's my mother? And yeah, I've been a mama's boy all my life. And where's my mother? I remember this distinctly, and then finally being scared and starting to cry, hysterical. And I must have done it for at least an hour, maybe more, and then finally exhausted, falling asleep.
Bill Maher just being forced to sit here while
I remember
Gene Simmons tells him about his childhood trauma on Bill Maher's fun, politically irreverent podcast.
Up here in my mind, the next morning I woke up, my mother was there, and it was fine. And then I didn't verbalize it to myself, but I validated the idea that emotions didn't get you anywhere. That this too will pass, and don't put all your eggs in the basket of emotion. So when I went to junior high school and everything, my nickname was Mr. Spock. It's like not making this up. Hey, Spock.
Okay. He's seeing that this was actually a problem now.
Come on over here, because I thought nothing got me angry. Nothing got me. It was a way to. It was armor because I didn't want to get hurt anymore.
The exact same thing happened with me. Really. I was dumped in high school, my first girlfriend. And it was like, to this day, the most devastating thing.
It is not the exact same thing, Bill. That is not even like what Gene was describing was a child being absolutely terrified in the middle of the night that they were never going to see their mother again. You're describing some bitch breaking up with you in high school. These are not the same thing, Bill. What the fuck are you talking about?
Because you're just so unprepared for it.
Yep.
And something clicks in you and you go, the thing I can control for happiness is me, which means career. The thing I can't control with happiness is love, because even though it's fucking awesome, they can get hit by a bus or they can dump you, or it can just grow old, or, things change. It's like two dragonflies. You see those dragonflies? They fly in these pairs. Like somehow they just never deviate from one from the other, even though they're darting around. People, we're not that good. We're not dragonflies.
I will always be Shannon's dragonfly. Wherever she goes,
Right.
I'm
Right.
done.
But you were a
They are in completely different places. Completely different places. Like Bill Maher is over here being like, nah, marriage sucks. You don't need to get married. Marriage is unrealistic. Being in love is a bad idea. And like Gene is like, no, man, I'm the dragonfly. I love my wife. It's like
You're not even listening to each other.
you are in very different places, sir. One of you is being very cynical and the other one is being very sincere, and it's kind of hilarious to watch.
dragonfly who got a lot of pussy on the side.
I have.
Yeah, I know. You wrote, don't you have a book with like 5,000?
Shannon and I came clean before I married her. I said, no secrets, no nothing. I showed her all the photos and all that stuff, and we had a photo burning ceremony together.
Oh, you burned them.
Together.
What a tragedy.
There's also a convenient reason for why you can't show anyone these photos existed.
Yeah. You just have to take his word for it that he had boxes upon boxes of Polaroids of naked women.
Each piece of pornography sadder and more pathetic than the other.
Jesus Christ, Gene.
There were a lot of photos.
I know, but why? I mean, why couldn't you have given them to like Club Random? I mean,
Or to you.
No, I'm saying I would have paid good money.
What's Club what?
This is Club Random.
Club Random.
This is. They would go well here on the walls. But
He doesn't even know what the name of the podcast is.
So, first of all,
no, Gene, why did you burn them? Give me all your incredibly personal photos so I could put them on my walls for anyone to see. Yeah. Bill, what the fuck, man? Do you even hear yourself?
You would document every encounter because
Bill Maher is what happens when an incel actually has sex all the time.
Yeah. Almost all of them.
Right. So you're the one who kept Polaroid in business.
Yeah.
This guy.
It was all, what did it, you know that phrase in movie.
I'm laughing because the joke is terrible. And you reacted to it like that. Oh, Bill.
Oh, boy.
Bill, you're
Oh,
terrible.
they meant nothing to me. They didn't. They meant.
Well, that's not very nice to them. I mean, there's
Yeah,
some
but it was up front. You know,
But
you wake up with somebody whose name you never bothered to learn, even if they don't stay the night.
Right. Well, no, most people don't have that experience because, again, rock star is a different category.
Yeah, I understand.
It just is a whole different thing. There was something about music goes right to the pussy.
Culturally, there's some. If I was a plumber or a dentist, it wouldn't be the same thing. I get it.
Well,
and you don't have to
if
be.
you were a dentist, you'd be a lot of drilling.
You wouldn't. You don't have to be the best looking guy, whatever.
Gene Simmons doesn't even laugh. He just does a little doodad to emphasize the punchline.
You've got a guitar around your neck. You're not going to be.
Well, especially if you're massively popular and play stadiums like Kiss. You know, I mean that kind of has a little something to do with it.
And there's something to be said about studying what it is about that. And power is the ultimate aphrodisiac.
Yeah, Daryl Hall was here about 2 weeks ago, and man, he cracked me up. I said,
I wonder if he talked to Daryl Hall about trans rights. Yeah. So Daryl Hall, do you care if a trans man still has his hall? Boom! God damn it, Bill, you're terrible.
You know, rock star. How hard is it to, like? I guess we're talking about the wife or divorce or something. And how hard is it to, not to be faithful? And he just said, impossible.
I understand what he's saying, but I got married at 62.
Right.
10 years ago, and I will tell you it's possible if you have that, and men are men are dogs. If you have that moment with yourself where you're going to basically admit to yourself, I don't want to die alone. I want to die.
Right. But it's also because it happened at 62.
It's true.
And not 32 because
it's true.
What happened is that your horniness waned. And that's like a blessing. It's almost, I think it's the male equivalent of menopause or something. It's like when you're like, I feel like I'm in the exact right amount of horny right
Look,
at this time in my life. Because it's not like.
Then why aren't you married, Bill? Then why aren't you married?
Like a monkey on my back all the time.
Unless you like that sort of thing. Look, I firmly believe that the male of the species has loose screws. And scientists tell us we think about sex every 8 seconds, and it goes all the way.
I don't think there's actually any science behind that statement. I'm almost positive that that is not a real scientific fact. Like, how would you even measure that?
Back to when we were 12 years old, and the bell would go off to the next class, and Johnny's not standing up because he's got the full erection, and Johnny, can't you stand up? Can't you control?
Oh, those uncomfortable teenage erections. It's a type of thing he remembers well.
Yourself? No, I can't. You have no control over that. We can't fake liking that. So
yeah.
So, but men are flawed. We are. The fact that women, straight relationships, ever give us the time of day, they know deep down inside, and they should keep us on a short leash, because the tendency of men.
No, but see, being on any kind of leash already
would go against my libertarian principles. My name is Bill Maher, and I don't want anyone to tell me what to do or what to think at any point in my life, even if I should listen to it.
You just lost me, and no relationship, I think, is going to succeed if anybody's on a leash, except for the ones where, perverts who that's their kink, is people, they're literally on a leash. But I mean, metaphorically on a leash, no.
I will say that.
Throwing shade at the kinky people there, Bill Maher.
I mean, there are bright men in the world, and as bright as I think I am or don't think I am, there's no question that the word wisdom doesn't apply to me. Shannon is far wiser than I will ever be. There are things you can learn, quantum physics and string theory and all that.
He's so much more self-aware these days.
Yeah, because he's in his 70s now. He's going to he's going to die soon. He's on the last tour ever with the band that he has spent most of his life being a member of. He's probably having lots of honest internal monologues with himself.
But I mean, and yet Bill Maher is only around 10 years younger than him, and Bill Maher is still stuck in this Bill Maher shit.
Yeah,
it's amazing. Maybe Bill Maher's turnaround is coming.
If you really study hard and understand the concept, you can't learn wisdom, and that comes with being able to give life, and only women can do that. Well, it's my mother and Shannon, and I don't cry when I think.
Let's just get down to some sex essentialism. Why not, Gene? What? Do you really think there are no wise men in the world? I've met some pretty unwise women too. It's still sexism if it's positive sexism, Gene.
Think about you or any other man. But when
would you cry when you thought about me?
Well, or anybody else, a friend, or it doesn't get to you deep. But if I think of Shannon or my mother, it's deep, and my knees buckle.
Well,
because I know that above and beyond all the words and all the sinful stuff I've done, there's a kind of love that exists there that exists nowhere.
You got to let this guilt go, bro. I'm telling you.
I don't feel guilt.
Bill, it's not the guilt. Do you not understand the conversation you're having with Gene Simmons? He's just telling you that he realized he loved his wife. Good God, Bill.
You were the
Been there, done that.
you were the lead singer in Kiss. Okay.
Am
Yeah, that's right.
with Paul.
I know.
Nice.
But I'm just saying this has gone on for like 50 years.
Yeah.
You can't compare that position, on the horny level, and that
Well,
old
I'm only
thing.
talking
Your
about
own
myself.
a
I'm
man.
not qualified
No,
to make a statement
but
about any other man.
but the adage, a man is only as loyal as his options, is relevant to.
Generally, depending on how old you are, yes,
Yes,
generally in the
right.
earlier years, it's about the options and how selfish you are, and whether or not you care enough about anybody else other than your own things. And what the younger
But
you are, the stupider and more
I
arrogant
mean,
you are.
and maybe this is cynical, but the hard truth of that is you were able to do that because of what happened physiologically, because you just don't have as much horniness coursing through your body, making you go in this other direction. That leveled down, and that allowed your brain, to sort of,
Okay, you know the story you told us about Larry Flynn.
yes.
So like I really don't like the argument that Bill is making here because like it's almost like the same thing that people do for sex, but for age. Like he's removing the concept that it's possible for men to have willpower because they're horny. And don't get me wrong, horniness definitely makes us make terrible choices in life at points and behave badly. But like the way he's putting it, like almost makes it sound like men are totally victims to their horniness. And I mean, maybe to an extent, but like it's not like horniness robs us of free will. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It was later on in life, and there were
Yes.
9 girls and anything. So whether he was physically able to perform or not, the opportunity was there.
Well,
Bill, there's
his
always
tongue still worked. It
so there's
was.
always opportunity, but I have no desire whatsoever on any level. And by the way, I don't give a fuck what anybody else may think. And Shannon and the kids know the truth. They've gone through
Oh,
all the heavy seas.
I'm pretty good friends with Nick.
That's good.
Can I tell you something honestly?
Of course.
I like him a lot better than you.
You know what?
And I love you, but
And
like,
you know what?
he's.
I do too.
I like him better because he's fun on my stupid podcast. Why can't you be fun with me, Gene?
Why can't you be fun like your 34-year-old son?
Really do. Your kid is so great to hang out with. He's
You should meet Sophie, who's getting married in February. Oh,
right.
my
I think
God.
when I did that reality show with you, that we had that lunch, I think what we were talking about, what the spontaneous conversation was about, was Sophie had a boyfriend or something, and of course you called me for advice.
Gene, why would you call Bill for advice in this topic? Doesn't even make sense. Does he have kids? I don't think Bill has kids, and he's definitely not married.
Don't you love show business, Gene? And so oh, that's nice. So
He's a Mormon.
no,
Comes from a Mormon family.
come on.
No, wait a minute. Don't just label. His family are strict Mormons. He is not.
Hey.
He grew up in the family. They've been living together 8 years. No drugs,
Yeah,
no booze,
of course, he's
no
a Mormon.
cigarettes.
Hey.
Works hard.
Sweetheart, whatever blows your tabernacle, I'm fine with. I'm like you, live and let live. I especially with the conservatives, I refuse to join.
Oh, we know, Bill. We know that you're live and let live with the conservatives. It's very clear. It's not subtle.
This ugly liberal pack of people who are like, I wouldn't breathe the same air as someone who voted for Trump. Oh, fuck off. I wouldn't vote for Trump either, but you're just an asshole.
I agree. There are some very, and I'm friends with them in our own traveling small city of 60 people. Some are avowed Trump fans, and they're good family people. They don't necessarily believe in oath keepers or any of that stuff. They just have, of course.
It's complicated.
And they have a right to live in this country just like you do.
I almost feel like this is a fake thing, though. Like, I mean, I understand that there's a lot of rhetoric amongst us lefties about like not wanting to like associate much with Trump people, but I feel like that's an exaggeration brought on by the fact that most of our interactions come through the internet. You know, like it's easy to say fuck Trump people when you're posting on Facebook, but it's a different conversation to have with real people and friends and relatives that might not agree with your politics. I mean, but also Trump is the worst. And right now, conservatism in America is pretty fucking scary, if I'm being 100% honest. But I do think that this is a made up problem made up by conservatives to feel extra victimized or whatever.
And they're Americans too.
Yeah, right.
And so this whole, we better figure this out pretty quickly.
True.
My recommendation to everybody else is get rid of all the titles. The pluralism and feminism and all this kind of stuff. Just stand up for yourself.
Going back to this.
And
Gene, that's such an unrealistic concept. It's not like that would truly change people's beliefs. They just wouldn't necessarily have names for their beliefs. That's... Oh, Gene.
We're lucky as hell to be living in America, I'll tell you that. There was an interviewer, happened to be a conservative on a college campus, and it was an interview, it doesn't matter what his name is, the college kid who of course has all the resume and experience that life can give them, having just entered college, fucking moron, walks up to this conservative guy who's got a microphone. What do you think about this guy? You're an evil son of a, and you're thinking you shouldn't be, right.
You all know.
I mean, Steven Crowder is pretty terrible. I mean, it could be Kirk. It could be what's his face, Charlie Kirk. He does that stuff now. It could be him, and they're both terrible, like genuinely terrible. Now, to be fair, an 18-year-old may not understand why they're terrible, but still have that belief.
Riling up, I'm going to call the cops. He goes, please do. I'm on public property. I just want to hear what you have to say. And the college kid was saying, I'm a thisism and I'm a thatism and you're not. He goes, so? Right. And he's going, I just want to find out what you're thinking. And the big problem, it seems to me, is that everybody is so ingrained. There was another on Bullshit, the show that Penn and Teller are doing. They actually said,
a great source of your political opinion. Penn and Teller's bullshit. Terrific.
Sent people out. There was a Greenpeace demonstration, and people were going up to the people marching, and the Greenpeace. What are you marching for? Don't kill the whales and all. What is the march all about? There's too much rain. They didn't know. They had no idea. It's this kind of lemmings marching together without understanding what it's all about. In fact, point of order, the person who originally started Greenpeace quit because it started off as a, let's make the planet better, don't kill all the whales, et cetera, et cetera. It became a political.
Apparently, Tim Pool used to work for Greenpeace. Huh.
Party. You couldn't be on the right and be a part of Greenpeace, so he quit.
I got to throw a little flag on this play, just because I hear this all the time. Whenever people want to sort of put forth this idea of some airy-fairy, too far left, crazy cause, they always go right to save the whales. And I just got to stick up for the whales and say, I really think that's a real thing. I really want to.
It really is, of course.
Okay. I mean, there is a lot of silly stuff, but whales, we shouldn't. I mean, we're killing the oceans. Well, let's not.
No, Bill. Why wouldn't you talk about killing the oceans? You were about to get your second W for the episode where you acknowledged that we should be protecting whales. You're so close, Bill. Why are you fucking it up?
Party. Let's not bring
Yeah,
everybody
I do know
down with.
some very important people who are putting skin in the game and are making some big changes.
Really?
There's a guy who I've become pals with who happens to be the biggest guy in Australia. And I don't know if I should,
Super tall dude. Super tall.
why not? He's public anyway. Andrew Forrest. And he has taken me around and we started talking about he's got a huge company that's worth billions and billions of dollars in mining, in materials and shipping and all this stuff. And he's switching over. He promised us to go carbon free. And I'm going to look up just a quick thing just to make sure I don't misstate it.
Well, you know, Gene, usually we don't allow phones here at
Well,
in
it's not a
La
phone, that's a
Branch.
cell phone. Invented, by the way, in Haifa, Israel, the technology.
Oh,
At
Israel's
Motorola.
killing it with the technology.
Oh, with technology and
I have
stuff.
Netanyahu is coming on real time at the end of this
I'm a big fan.
Of course, Netanyahu is coming on real time with Bill Maher. Of course he is. It's not like he's not in the. Oh wait, hold it. This was 8 months ago. He's already been on real time with Bill Maher. Of course he was.
And it was all political, and whether his wife ordered $14,000 for drapes and all that, it's all bullshit.
And what about Modest Yahoo? You remember him?
Modest Mouse.
No, he was like an Israeli rapper. I remember. You don't remember that guy? He was
I've
like
heard of it. Yeah, yeah.
Modest. Yeah, I remember. I was at in I think it was the Sundance Film Festival, and he was
English
there.
guy, I think.
Maybe, but
a Hasidic
yes,
kind of a, yeah, I know.
because he there was a little bit of controversy. He wouldn't get on stage like with a woman. I mean,
I
like
used to be a Hasidic Jew. I used to have Hasidim, but I don't
the
believe them.
payas.
Oh, yeah.
Wow,
Yeah, I studied to be a rabbi, the whole thing.
that
And then
could have been the.
That would have been quite a different timeline.
Yeah.
Quite a different timeline where Gene becomes a rabbi instead of a sex crazed rock star. Is it because you couldn't just bang everything that wasn't tied down, Gene? Is that what it was?
I believe that's what he said in his autobiography. Yes.
Okay.
The kiss look.
Well, my Hebrew
You went
name,
with the other one though.
I was born Chaim, but I can't be in a stadium going, Chaim, Chaim. Dress British,
Oh,
think Yiddish.
by the way, could I take this opportunity, since I know you're a busy guy and a sexy and powerful man or whatever.
Powerful and attractive.
Powerful and attractive man. So I don't know when I'm going to see you again. But would you pass an apology for me along to Paul Stanley? And I'm not an apology person, but I remember he was on Politically Incorrect, I think the first year or maybe the second.
Do you think this is something Gene would pass on?
No.
And I feel like there was a moment when I used him like as a it wasn't nasty, but like I said something about a star over your eye, because but he was not in makeup, and I think I was young. It's kind of stupid thing you do when you're young, and I always felt bad about it because he's a smart guy. He's your partner, right?
He's the smartest,
Yeah,
best partner you could ever have. The brother I never had, from my mother.
really. Well, you just said you'd have friends. Now listen how you're talking about.
If it's different, we live a mile or two from each other, but we don't go and grab coffee and talk.
Because you're on the
nothing.
road together a lot.
Yeah, that's right. That's what.
Of course.
Well, but you've got more than.
Okay. It sounds like do you think he's just being polite here, or do you think maybe he's not as much of a douche anymore?
Maybe, I mean, it's certainly possible, but he's Gene Simmons.
Could Gene Simmons truly have turned himself around this much? I mean, he's still clearly pretty full of himself, but like he's clearly been humbled on some level.
Yeah, like he did. He definitely got somebody put him in his place.
Just hey, how about those Mets?
Right.
It's not enough.
Right.
Got to be more. I was on your show when Whoopi was on, and Whoopi, who's very bright, in her own way. We were talking about Vietnam, and I went on record, and actually you sided with me back then. You have changed, Bill Maher.
Really, on what?
Yes, you have. I said this is a little simplistic because the body politic worldwide is much more complex. We promised Ho Chi Minh that Vietnam would be independent, and then we went back on it because the French were torturing them since 1954. Yes, I used to teach sixth grade, and then he went to Yale, met with politicians, and then we reneged because we found oil there. Surprise! We reneged about them going, and of course that's when he went to the north and said, we're not going to allow the Europeans to take over. And then Vietnam started, and he sided with the communists. He wasn't a communist. He just wanted to be independent. And if you take a look at Vietnam historically, they were never going to join China or Russia. They just wanted to be a free country.
The Vietnam fought a war with China 4 years after we left.
That's exactly correct. And people aren't aware of that. And now if you go into
I'm not gonna lie, I thought this was about to be a bad take, but it actually wasn't. I thought I like when he made it sound like it was gonna be controversial. I was like, oh no, does he think we should have nuked Vietnam? But no, actually informed and makes sense. Vietnam just wanted to be independent. We shouldn't have fucked with that.
North Vietnam, they have Four Seasons hotels and everything.
Right.
They just want to be left alone, like lots of people.
Does KISS play?
Ukraine.
Like places like that? Vietnam?
Pardon?
Does KISS play places like that? Vietnam?
Not yet.
China?
Bill missed him supporting Ukraine.
Not yet.
But you would?
Of course. Why not?
Then why don't you? You play Japan.
Well, it's just show me the money.
I feel like everybody who's really big eventually plays Japan.
Yeah.
What?
It costs.
But you're on tour now, and you.
No, but it's not the same, Bill.
Because it's so far away.
And you got to fly or ship.
Yeah,
and that's $1 million bucks just to get started.
Right, because all your equipment.
And once the
makeup alone must be one plane.
A lot. I wear more makeup and high heels than all your girlfriends combined. So once you put the trucks on the road, then it's then you can make it work. But I was going to make a point about Vietnam, and you killed it because you went to the joke.
Well,
okay, I forgive you.
No.
Oh, so I did your show, politically correct, and Whoopi
incorrect. The sign's
and
right
Vietnam came up, and I said, "This is not a popular oneida, but I fully support the troops going in there and trying to prevent, sort of the manifest destiny of communism." Because Europeans did that in America. They said, let's spread it and go country and take over the countries. Fully supported. Breaks my heart that Americans were dying there. So it's too complex, too easy to say, I support it, now go fight the war. I understand that.
Wait, I'm confused. Confused. Wait, hold on. You just made all these arguments about why Vietnam wasn't really communist and how they just wanted to be independent, which makes it sound like we should have kept our stupid asses out of Vietnam. And now it sounds like you're supporting the war in Vietnam. Gene, what the fuck are we talking about right now? You're confused by this as well. Yes.
Yeah.
Historically, we did the right thing. And historically, we did the right thing by stopping the North Koreans from spreading. Otherwise, they wouldn't be a South Korea. And communism would.
Okay, wait. He's talking about Korea right now. Okay, he said Vietnam by accident. I wonder if Bill Maher will notice.
And eventually...
So you accused me of changing, but...
You were on my side.
I agree, and I still am. And I've never said anything other.
So for the record...
For the record, yes.
They're
Communism, I've said it many times, I was never a Reagan fan, but when he said it was an evil empire, completely true.
Of course it is.
Okay, now...
Okay, no, he does support the war in Vietnam.
This thing about him ending the Cold War... He played his part on the stage. And I give him credit for that. He had the coup de grace. But it was a bipartisan effort over many decades to defeat communism. But I also, I don't usually get that patriotic tingle in my balls for that Republican bullshit. But when Reagan said, when they asked him what's his strategy in the Cold War, he said, "We win, they lose."
No, I don't know. That doesn't mean you have to throw out the baby with the bathwater. On that area, you disagree with. It doesn't make him a complete asshole. It's just
no, I'm saying
agree
I
with
like that. We win, you lose.
I don't agree with that.
No,
because
no.
Zig Ziglar, who came up with the
Zig Ziglar.
Yeah, he wrote the. Oh, you don't know what that is?
No.
It's a philosophy in negotiating. The win-win. You've heard of win-win.
Yes.
Negotiate. Well, the truth is, somebody wins a little more. That's how.
I feel like It's very confusing what your opinions on Vietnam are, Gene. I'm very confused by them.
This is the weirdest fucking podcast.
It's very strange.
That's how we both win. Truthfully, somebody wins a little bit more. Zig Ziglar wrote the idea. It's a negotiation.
Right, I see. Okay.
So, no, they don't
How
have
high
to
are
lose.
you,
You
Bill?
can't push it in their face, because living well is the best kind of revenge. So,
Right.
So he's probably because he's never hit that cigar when the camera's on him.
It's not a cigar, people. It's a blunt. It's definitely a blunt. 100%. I'd put money on it. Not a ton of money because I'm poor, but still, I'd put money on.
the glasnost actually means let's denuclearize. You can do whatever you want. We'll do whatever we want. And truthfully, we win because capitalism is a better
Right.
system. Let them be communists. Don't
Correct.
bother anybody else. Stay within your.
Oh yeah, capitalism sure is a great system right now. It's going great. Terrific. It's not a series of short-sighted decisions that cause booms and busts repeatedly.
Borders, and we'll stay within our borders. We're not going to, because we don't do that kind of stuff. And
Oh, we're going to stay in our borders. We're totally staying in our borders. We're known for staying in our borders.
P.S. We win. The dollar is still going to be king, and your ruble not so much.
So I'm curious now that I mean, it's hard to have you here and not want to talk politics, because no, really, because I do want to know what you think
You've
about
been talking politics the entire time, Bill.
You opened with
Ask him some fucking rock questions.
Yeah, I thought they were just gonna be like, "Oh, we're such cool guys," like talk about rock and roll, man. No,
You have
kids these days with their rap music, they don't know the rock and roll.
Jesus, Bill.
Man, I was listening to Kiss all the way over here to get myself all psyched up for a douchey boomer podcast. And it's this, like, what has happened?
I mean, it is still douchey and boomery, but not in the ways we anticipated.
Yeah.
about this, because again, I don't know if I see you again. So where are you? Like, I mean, I don't assume anything about anybody. Let me just hopefully say you do think Trump lost the election, right?
Of course it is.
Okay, great. I just have to ask everybody.
Now let me respond for the record.
Yeah.
When he first ran in 2016, when he first got elected, I was happy.
Happy
I
about
knew the
what?
guy from before then.
Right, you're on the.
Of course, both of those things are a thing. He was happy about it, and he knew him. Oh wait, right, The Apprentice. That's probably what he's going to talk about.
The
now.
Apprentice.
Yeah, but
Right.
a little, see him in clubs and stuff like that. And
Right.
for the record, he had Bill and Hillary at his wedding, and Howard
We used to grab pussy in the same clubs. Just the thing that we did.
Stern went to his
So
wedding.
what?
He's not a politician. But my point, I want to say for the record, and people will tell you who know me, oh yeah, Gene was happy that Trump won. I was. I didn't want Hillary to be happy. I thought, oh, businessman is coming in. He understands how to run things.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Yes,
That's the stupidest
I
reason.
am sometimes stupid.
No,
All right.
Whoa.
Bill Maher gets another W.
You got Gene Simmons to admit fault.
You know what? We'll make that 2 W's. He got Gene to admit that he was stupid, and he's also gonna fight him on the whole idea that business people could run the government well.
This is another unexpected Marvel.
I'm just saying, running a business is so different than running a government that the idea that somebody would be good at running government because it works precisely the opposite way.
Tell me why.
Because you can't just fire the board. It's a Congress. You have to work together. This is what the main thing, and not the main, but one of 1,000 horrible things in that moron's head is that you can just act like a king. He doesn't even, he doesn't understand.
He
doesn't understand how government works and doesn't care to learn.
I agree. The person that I saw first coming into power is not the person I saw within a year or two of that.
Also
And so
ridiculous. He's been the
turned.
same douchebag for 50 years. What do you?
It's true. I hated Trump long before he ever ran for anything. Long before.
Talking
Not sure
about?
I know what you mean by that. It's a little vague.
Is it?
But
Is it, Gene? Trump has been a douchebag for a long time.
But I changed the way lots of people changed. Look, I thought Biden was going to come in and be a major force. I've got some big reservations about the man, not about his ethics and morality, but just about the physical ability
for fuck's
to do
sake.
all that.
I would think you, of all people, being 73, wouldn't want to be an ageist like that. This is so funny.
I am an ageist.
You were just ageist earlier, Bill.
You're old Gene Simmons, not me, young virile Bill Maher.
You did it earlier. You were very ageist earlier, Bill. Oh yeah, young men are too horny. Their brains don't work right.
Bill Maher's 67 as well, so he's not that far off from Gene.
Oh Jesus!
Old man.
I am an ageist, depending on the vibrancy and the mental alertness of what you've got. At a certain age, you can't look at a person and not say, okay, you're X number of years old, now how sharp are you? You're talking about the most powerful person on the planet.
Right, who's had, I thought, a pretty amazing last 6 months. So
communication skills, I'm not talking about policy. Communication skills are flat. There is such a thing as the cult of personality. And I like the man.
And cult personality is not good. Cult of personality is how you end up like people like Hitler or Pat Robertson. Cult of personality is how you end up in a cult. That's why it's called cult of personality. A person who has a cult of personality is someone who can easily manipulate large numbers of people because they like them.
But the ability to communicate a message is nil.
Okay, but you got to ask backwards. Policy is the dog.
No.
And communication skills is the tail. The important thing is policy. Yes, it's
that one I don't agree with.
Gene, okay. I'm sorry, Gene, but you are about to explain exactly why you are not a political person, which is that you are okay. Yep, Gene's an idiot. Okay, we're back on board. It took us this long to get to Gene being an idiot, and now Bill Maher is the one looking smart because Bill Maher's right here. Policy is way more important. I mean, you can make the argument that, like, if you can't communicate well with people, they'll never understand what your policies are. But if your policies are making people's lives better, it won't matter. Here we go. Let's see how this boils out.
Because you're saying that the words are more important than the deeds.
Initially, yes, because the first impression you have of a female walking up to you before you talk with her is the impression. And then...
Of course, that's Gene's metaphor. Of course it is.
You find out where and who and what you do. As a male, you understand that. And the first impression I have of somebody coming on screen, it's the Nixon-Kennedy debate. They weren't listening to what the debate was all about. Nobody understands political platforms. All they saw was the 5 o'clock shadow of Nixon and the little beads of sweat.
Right.
That's all they remember. And Kennedy was a good look.
That's true in terms of how they got to be leaders, but it's not. It is meaningless in terms of their ability to pass policy.
Guy was able to put a sentence together. Do people remember what the political differences were? Not at the least.
And it's so interesting.
I assure you there are people who understand the political differences between John F. Kennedy and Richard M. Nixon. I feel like his middle name was M.
Yeah. Bring that up because in 1960, the political differences between the two parties were fairly minimal.
Totally agree. Because Tip O'Neill was a great politician. Both sides.
But not between Kennedy and Nixon.
Of the aisle worked together, and then something happened.
It is scary the way this country, coming out of World War II into the 60s, you would say, like
Oath Keepers and all
like
the
we were very. I mean, what the differences on stuff was workable, and they did. That's why they did make deals, and then we just moved so far.
Generally speaking, I'm a centrist. I don't like AOC.
We know Dean. I just called him Dean. Jesus. We know Gene. We know. We know you're a centrist. It is the only thing that is clear about your political stance.
And I'm not a fan of Bernie, but I think they're both fine people. I do like Mitt Romney and Miss Cheney. I do like that. And both sides hate you for saying those things because they both want you to align.
Wait. Why would both sides hate you for saying those things? Like, conservatives don't like Bernie Sanders and AOC, and actually, a lot of Democrats don't like Bernie and AOC. And then you got Mitt Romney and Liz Cheney, who actually conservatives hate them because they sided against Trump. And that's the only reason. They're not you gave an example of two left of center Democrats, and then you gave an example of two center Republicans. These are, you didn't even include a far right person in this comparison.
Align yourself with what the marching orders are. If you're a Democrat, it means this. You're a progressive. I'm not a progressive. I know that business has to involve people who don't agree with you.
You're about Gene Simmons of Kiss. They can kiss your ass. What the fuck?
Some do.
What? Really, I mean, the haters are going to hate. You know, yes, you're right. But there's so many people in this country who I just think they're just so pissed off, and I can't blame them. There's many reasons.
Both sides.
Yes, they're just pissed off, and they want to break shit, like the Capitol thing. They just want to break shit, and you kind of can't blame them because they are getting squeezed.
But you can blame them because the people who don't agree with them will use that as a tool and say, see, they're burning our cities, whatever it is, progressives or ethnic or religious groups. Look at that. They're burning our cities. That's evil.
Right.
No, you can complain about that because images are the most important thing initially. I am reminded, and I'm doing some business.
Wait, are you siding with or against the protesters in this situation, Gene? It is not clear.
In China, I'm reminded of that one brave Chinaman.
Oh, Gene, we don't say Chinaman anymore. Jesus Christ. That one brave Chinaman. Oh my God, Gene. I bet he's talking about Tank Guy, though.
No, right. Gene, not Chinaman.
A male.
No.
Bill's going to call him on it. Bill's going to be politically correct now, y'all.
Wow, Bill, take it easy, you snowflake.
A male who's Chinese, a China man.
No, I'm just gonna let it
say
go.
That anymore. I promise you.
See, I'm through with that.
I promise you.
I could give a fuck. He is a male.
Intense irony ensues. Irony intensifies.
Well, a Chinese person. Okay. Tell me how to say that. Right. So a Chinese man is standing in front of a tank.
There you go.
I'm using the right words now. So a tank.
Yes, Gene. Sometimes there are right words. Because let's remember that taking certain words out of your song will change the context of it completely.
Yeah.
As we discussed earlier with the mermaid incident.
Yeah.
Is about to run him over at Tiananmen Square.
This is June
of
89.
You will never forget that image.
89.
What the Chinese will forget that image.
That's right. And what were the differences of the political structure? What did the guy in the tank feel? You don't care because that image becomes iconic and supersedes and nullifies all the other. And so I'm saying that when the good-intentioned people come into cities and break things and burn things, you understand where the anger comes from, but the effect visually is the most negative thing you can have.
I would say this to that.
I think that was technically protest, but stating the problems of destroying things. I think is where Gene is coming from it there.
You've picked a strange example to illustrate your theory.
He did. Another W for you, Bill.
Wow.
That optics are more important because
initially,
because the Tiananmen Square guy standing in front of the tank is iconic and everybody saw it. And
except for Chinese people born after 1989.
China, all these years later, is more authoritarian than ever. So it didn't fucking work.
No, that's not. No.
Hence my point.
I'm push back. This happened this week in Hong Kong. There was a football match, and they played the China.
Hong Kong is not currently part of. Hong Kong is still technically has some of its independence, Gene. I don't know what you think you're going to get out of this example.
Chinese national anthem, and in Hong Kong, the entire audience booed and made a lot of noise. No. Sometimes when you plant a seed, it takes a while. In an authoritarian regime, it takes longer. You don't have the freedom. Just like in Russia, somebody has an opinion, you get whisked off to jail. They don't see you for 10 years, and that's what's happening on the streets now. No, it's not the same. That image will never go away. And those ladies,
except if you are a citizen of China, where you cannot find that image on the internet anymore.
In Iran, and the Persians are great people. This is a fire. This is a little spark that's been lit, and that you will never stamp that out.
Well,
it may not happen right away.
Again, Gene, odd choice, because there was something called the Arab Spring in 2011, and it did precisely get stamped out.
It's just the beginning. Democracy is.
Yes, I agree.
It's not easy.
Yeah, no, and there's stops and starts to everything in life. So yes,
but once women publicly in an authoritarian.
So Gene's basically a neoliberal, is what I'm getting. That's where his politics are, which is typical of people who don't think about politics a lot.
In theocracy, dare risk their lives to make a statement about their freedoms. Game over. May not happen right away, but you've got something to point to. Because if it's never happened before, I mean, Russia was never a democracy, ever, in its entire history of existence. And you're talking about Iran, too. I mean, I know they vote in a theocracy, but it's not real.
No.
Just like Russia in the Ukrainian lands.
No, your point about America is not wrong.
It's so messy, but it's the best thing human beings have created.
I know you don't follow me on television, Gene. It's all right.
I watch you all the time.
Really?
Sure.
Tell me more.
No, I want you all the time.
Thank you. But I am, good. Then I am always making this statement about,
it took us forever to get to the circle jerk of Bill Maher.
Yeah, I thought that would be like immediately.
Last week about immigrants, the only people who seem to really love America.
I am one.
I know, but they're the only people who seem to love this country. Everybody else, I was saying, I don't know why you're all fighting for it so much. You don't seem to like it, but immigrants.
This is such an old person thing to say.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, well, first of all, immigrants actually do have a bias towards liking a country they've immigrated to, because the fact that they had to fight for it and they had to went through so many steps. That typically will give them some level of bias because they are more invested than a person who was just happened to be born here. However, just because people criticize a country doesn't mean they hate it. Just because they fight and argue and criticize it is normally a sign that they want their country to succeed. Because it's the only way to make it better. Just fucking old people, man. This makes me feel young. I'm glad we're doing this, Gato.
Yeah.
Because it makes me feel young to hear these old boomers be this fucking boomery. It's nuclear boomer up in here.
Because they came from a place that was worse, have so much perspective
or have the opportunities here that would never have back home. That's all you need. But I would like to. There's a better Bill Maher than.
Hey everybody, it's Tony Robbins. Listen, I'm reaching out to you right now because I'm mad. I hope you are too. I'm so tired of people living in.
And I see on your show.
A better one.
Yes, there's a better one. A more effective Bill Maher. And I'll tell you what it is.
The one right here?
Than the one sitting right there. I know there is. And I know that you...
He's going to tell him to be nice. Let's
speak from a point of view of your own truth. And sometimes it doesn't make the most sense for somebody to stand in front of you and say, that's a fucking ugly dress you're wearing, even though that's the truth. Because it has a negative effect or hurts the people or they turn against you. So when you go into the vitriol against Trump...
I think Gene Simmons has had to be to therapy. I think Gene Simmons has gone to therapy.
Yeah.
From the way he's talking about these things. Someone at some point has sat down with him and had to explain to him the process of how he affects other people. And now he has memorized that in order to save his relationships. And so now he's here to tell Bill to stop being a negative piece of shit.
You're talking about an entire culture of people, 70 million plus people who voted for the man because, by the way, Gene, they believed in it. Now, hold on. I think that
he's actually trying to pull Bill to the center. Nice.
There's a middle point of how to refer to these people.
I stick up for these people all the time in the sense
he was a former president of the United States.
I understand.
Not a moron.
I know exactly who he is.
He is a moron. Being president does not make you mutually exclusive from being a moron.
Yeah.
Total moron. Not just a moron. The thing that's so dangerous about him is that he's stupid and he's crazy. I swear to God, he's stupid and crazy. He doesn't know anything. He doesn't care about knowing anything.
You're making lots of new friends.
And he's an absolute narcissist. He has
but you can say that you disagree.
Bill, I want you to appeal more to MAGA boomers. I think that's where the center is.
But what I always have said, Gene, is you can hate Trump. You can't hate the people who vote for him.
I mean, we can hate some of them. Yeah. Like on individual levels, some of them are trash, Bill.
Good Lord, yeah, I met tons of them in Tulsa.
What you mean, Bill, is we shouldn't assume every single one of them is the same piece of trash.
Yeah.
Some people are just dumb and don't understand that they've been hoodwinked by a person who had more charisma than them.
They like me now. Even when they don't agree with a lot of my policy stuff, because I do stand up for this idea. I agree with you. We have to walk it back from where we are of just hating each other and despising each other. And I don't want to breathe your air. Fuck your air.
It's not yours.
It's not yours, right? You have. It's a big country with lots of people who don't think like you, act like you, and you have to learn to share.
Yeah.
So, all right, I gotta go.
By the way, he's very bright. He knows exactly what he's doing.
Oh, Gene.
Sticking up for his old pal Donnie.
Gene, you were doing so well. You did well for a lot of this, Gene. Don't double down on Trump as being a nice guy. Don't do it, man. Don't do it. I'm saying that, but we know he's doing it.
And you can say,
Trump?
Yes.
Oh.
I don't like what he's doing. I don't agree with what he's doing. But when you hit the ground and go moron, idiot, and stuff, you're opening the door for somebody else to throw.
Well, Gene, I have to. The show is called Real Time
with Gene Simmons.
My other show was called Politically Incorrect. My brand is. I'm just going to tell you the truth. Yes, it may hurt some people.
Truth.
I'm so sorry that the people who go to the Trump rally are wounded because I called their cult leader a moron.
But you respect the people. You may not respect who they're going to see.
Okay, that's right. That's the important thing that makes intelligent people, like I hope that you think I am, even if we disagree, is that you can keep two disparate thoughts in your mind at the same time. Life is like that.
He wants as many asses in seats for this.
It's what I was saying earlier about egoists. It's what I was saying earlier about egoists. These egoists they feed off of each other because it justifies their own egoism.
Yep. You're like, hey, I'm not an egoist. He is. Look at this guy. And they're taking turns doing that throughout this entire podcast.
Yep.
Before I came on your show, Shannon, who's always there to provide me with wisdom, she said, Gene, you're about to go on Politically Incorrect. Remember, your fans run the spectrum of beliefs and tastes.
Yeah.
And she's right. Instead of Gene Simmons just opening up and this is truth, this is my truth, this is what it is. I've also got to think about people's feelings because the people who disagree with, let's say me instead of you, who disagree with my point of view, passionately believe in theirs. They as much passionately believe in theirs as I do in mine. So we can find common ground by saying, God bless America. Really, because it allows both or all the different variations to coexist without resorting to arms.
Yes, but I think you're missing the bigger point, which is,
Am I?
yes, here's what's, because you have a special place in this equation you are describing,
What
which
I
is
should have done, I
this.
should have played this at a
We are at
fast
each other's
speed.
throats.
Yeah.
We need things that we agree on
wouldn't
in
have had to
common.
suffer quite as
People
long.
can go to a Kiss concert of all
Non-political.
Well, and also you can be standing next to a guy who, if it wasn't you both loved Kiss,
Right.
you would hate him if it was a political discussion.
You don't have to hate him. You can disagree
no, but you
with
would.
him.
But here's something that oh my gosh, we both love this, and it transcends it all. So you are on a mission, and
His fans argue with
And we
each
need
other
more
all
music
the time.
festivals that invite.
If there's one thing we know about anyone who likes music, is that they are ready to fight anyone else who likes music.
Yeah, like the Kiss fans argue about stupid shit all the time. Like, what are they talking about? Like, I mean, yeah, they put it all aside when they're at a show or just talking about, I like this song. Well, I like this song. But
I think this is the best Kiss song about anal sex. No, this is the best Kiss song about anal sex.
I like this song.
Oh, Gene. Oh, Bill.
Everybody. Where you don't talk about part. By the way, the reason they have curtains in voting booths, because it's nobody's fucking business who you're going to vote for, left or right. And I think that's a good piece of advice for all of us. Keep your opinions to yourself and vote at the booth. You have...
Except, of course, that Bill's entire job runs off him not keeping his opinions to himself.
Yeah, that is...
Gene Simmons is on the wrong show.
That's I don't. Yeah, eventually Maher probably wasn't a narcissist before he started getting paid to talk about his opinions. So like now they're like, yeah, I'm smart and good and right because look, all my money's.
Oh, Gene.
Proof. It touched me.
I love that throughout this entire amazing hour we had together.
Amazing.
Well, he has to butter Gene up. You can't.
Even through the part where Bill Maher was clearly gritting his teeth, thinking, why
desperately to do wife bad jokes.
Why can't we let this moment be fun, Gene? This moment's supposed to be fun, and you're not being fun.
Be like your son, Gene.
You're
your plagiarist son.
Gene, you're a rock star. We should be talking about fun stuff. And you keep making it serious.
Says Bill Maher, who started the podcast by bringing up how he doesn't understand trans people. He did no greeting, no welcome to my shitty rich man cave. I'm Bill Maher. Just I saw you.
It was like a minute and a half into the podcast.
Yeah, and he's like, "Why won't you talk about fun things?" Like, because you opened this whole thing with an unpleasant thing.
You got real political extremely fast about one of the most touchy political topics of our time.
Yeah.
And you just reached for it like you were reaching into like one of those candy bowls that old women put out.
Yeah.
Jesus, Bill. All right, we got like a minute.
You basically addressed the camera, and I was really only like a secondary character in the room. I love that all right, I have to go back to my other job. Oh no,
you should be sitting. A man your age should be sitting more of the time.
Club Random.
Wow, I made a point to not watch this at all before now, so I could have it be fresh. But that is not what I expected.
It isn't. I didn't anticipate. I couldn't. The only thing. I mean, like I don't think I could have anticipated any part of what we just experienced. That was effing wild. Like, holy crap. Okay, so we gotta come to some types of, gotta wrap this up somehow. So it sounds like Gene Simmons has been heavily wife pilled. Like,
he's that was so weird. He was just like, I had lots of flaws.
I am one, like he and Bill was trying so hard during that period to make it fun, and Gene refused.
Funny. Because the way he tried to do it was wife bad. It's like, no, wife good, Bill. Wife good.
Fucking Bill Maher. Oh my God. Bill Maher, just like, I really do have to wonder if Bill Maher will ever like wake up to society and such. I don't know. Like, Bill Maher has not changed much in the last few years.
But Gene Simmons has sort of.
I mean, he's still Gene Simmons.
Yeah, he was peeking out again toward the end there. I think he's just like, see, I bet his wife told him to say shit like that. And that's why he was looking at the camera the whole time, like, see, shot it, I am saying it.
I mean that could totally be true. Although I do think it's funnier that Gene Simmons might actually be 100% wife pilled, like ready to like lay down for his woman and be like, no, getting married is the right thing to do. You're gonna die alone, Bill. You're gonna die alone. Not me. I'm Gene Simmons, and I got a wife and kids, which is great because I don't really put a lot of effort into having friends. You're gonna die alone, Bill. With these porn stars won't be there to miss you. All right. Well, that was kind of amazing.
Yeah.
It was a lot crazier than I thought it would be.
Yeah, what a ride.
What an incredible ride. Thank you for listening to this podcast, listening to another podcast. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I hope that Bill Maher doesn't come after me legally in some way. But I'm pretty sure fair use covers this incident. But thank you for listening or watching or whatever. Please like and subscribe wherever you are watching / listening, whether that be on Spotify or YouTube. And yeah. Got anything else you want to say, Gato?
No. I'm still a bit, I need to let this sink in, I think.
Yeah.
I just witnessed.
That was kind of a mind-blowing experience. I hope it was as weird for you as it was for us. All right, say goodbye, Gato.
Bye, everybody.
Adios.